Now, all this week and your final week, we're talking about different towers that have been around Waterford. And today you're going to talk about the Double Tower on Castle Street. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, people will know it. It's on your left-hand side coming from Dungarvan or Cork or in from the Tramore Road. It's unusual. These towers were always built with the part of the tower outside the wall so that people standing on top of the tower could fire arrows down at anyone who puts a ladder up against the town walls, and therefore they'd shoot them, whereas people up on the town wall themselves wouldn't have a good view of them and couldn't get a good shot at them. Generally speaking, none of them have little gateways or passageways through them, because the whole idea of the tower was that was really defensive part of it. It was the way to get men up onto the walls on the wall walk at the top of the wall, and it was also a way of firing at higher range down on attackers on the city. But this little tower has got a little passageway, and that's why it's called the Double Tower. In other words, there's two chambers in it, or two rooms, and one is a little passageway completely sealed off from the rest of the tower, and that was to allow priests and other clergy coming from the Benedictine monastery, which was at the end of Bunkers Hill there, and coming from there into the little church that's at the back in a place called Wise Park. People might, it was restored there recently, or the ruins were restored by the Civic Trust there about 3 or 4 years ago. They did great work with the work activation scheme, and that was the parish church of the Benedictine monastery that was found around in around 1199, sometime around that time. It was there from 1199, and so priests coming from basically the end of Bunker Hill, or Manor Hill as it's officially known, where the WIT have their music school, and that was where the monastery was. And then when the monastery was given to the Wise family of Waterford, they turned it into a manor house, and they called it the Manor, the Manor of St John, and they kept the church going. And later on, even during the Reformation, it was kept going, and this is how priests got in and out to serve Mass in the church there. In Cromwell's time, then moving on then from the Middle Ages into the 1600s and 1640s, a very bad time for Waterford. The city was under siege, and interestingly, the town wall north of the tower itself, the town wall juts out like the tower, which is unusual. And the reason it does that is because that's kind of like a blockhouse. They knocked whatever wall was there, and they built a platform, filled it with earth, and that's where they put cannon, because of course Cromwell was using cannon, and they needed, of course, to defend the city using cannon. And also when they were doing that, they filled the tower with earth. That was causing stress on the tower there up until modern times. And the reason they filled it with earth is because a medieval tower wouldn't be able to take the impact of big cannons that Cromwell's army would have had, the parliamentary army would have had in the 1649, 1650, when the city finally fell to the Cromwellian army.
So it was literally a buffer then, Eamonn, just to
it was a buffer, It was no longer like for lads using bows and arrows to defend the city, but in order to make it more impregnable, that they filled it with earth. And when we were restoring it then back in around the year 2000, it was nearly ready. 2004, I think we finally finished work on it. It was a very complicated job, simply because of the fact that the earth had to be taken out. I'm afraid structurally that, of course, the impact of that earth being there for 400 years wasn't helping it. So that has been restored, and thanks to the Civic Trust in Waterford here, the little Benedictine monastery has been restored and will last for another 1,000 years, hopefully.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Yeah. Great stuff, Eamonn.
Okay.
Interesting as always. You can check us out online.
Talk tomorrow.
Bye, Eamonn.
Bye-bye.